Hey everyone, and welcome to today's explainer on the psychology of money. You know, have you ever stopped to wonder why being actually good with money often has kind of very little to do with how smart you are, and literally almost everything to do with how you behave? Well, today we're diving straight into Morgan Housel's brilliant insights to see exactly why building a secure future is way less about, crunching numbers on a spreadsheet and much more about mastering our own minds. Okay, let's dive into this, because it's honestly one of the greatest mysteries of human behavior. Why is it that some people just manage to build this immense wealth quietly over time, while others, even people pulling in millions, end up losing absolutely everything? It feels like a total paradox, right? Until you realize we've kind of been using the wrong set of tools this whole time. All right, that brings us to section 1, the great money myth. So for generations, we've basically been completely conditioned to think money is just math. We assume it's all about the size of your salary, your raw intelligence, figuring out the exact mathematical time to buy or sell. But the truth, it's entirely different. Money is fundamentally about behavior. It's about habits, and it's about emotion. Think about it. You could literally give two people the exact same job and the exact same income. Yet a decade later, one of them is wealthy and the other is totally broke. Why? Because financial decisions are rarely made on a cold, logical spreadsheet. They're made at the dinner table, and they're heavily influenced by things like fear, ego, envy, and just our daily habits. Let's move right into section 2, your unique financial blueprint. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is it asks us to look inward for a second. Seriously, take a moment and ask yourself, what experiences actually shaped your money beliefs? Because every single one of us has a money story. The way you look at a $100 bill today, that was likely cemented by what you saw, felt, and experienced decades ago, probably back in your childhood. And because of those unique, deeply personal stories, we get this incredibly liberating quote straight from the source material: "No one is crazy." We do this all the time, right? We judge our friends or family for how they spend or save. But the thing is, people make money decisions based on their own personal experiences with the world. You're not broken. You are simply reacting to the world exactly as you've experienced it. So take someone who grew up poor, for example. They might have this deep-seated, almost paralyzing fear of spending money. They might hoard every penny because they know intimately, painfully, what it feels like to have absolutely nothing. On the flip side, someone who grew up really rich, they might be completely comfortable taking massive, even reckless financial risks just because they've always had a secure safety net to fall back on. Neither approach is crazy. Actually, they are highly logical reactions to entirely different life stories. The big takeaway here? Stop judging other people's financial decisions and start digging into the roots of your own money story. Which leads us to section 3, time, savings, and real wealth. The actual mechanics of wealth are beautifully encapsulated in just a single number: 70 years. So when most people think of Warren Buffett, obviously one of the most successful investors in history, they immediately attribute his massive fortune to sheer brilliance. And yeah, for sure, he's a brilliant guy. But a huge, often completely overlooked factor in his wealth is his timeline. The guy has been investing consistently for over 70 years. To put that into perspective, that's almost an entire human lifetime of just letting his money grow. Wealth usually comes from time, not just explosive overnight income. And this is the undeniable, almost unbelievable magic of compounding. Small gains plus a really long amount of time equals extraordinary results. Our human brains, honestly, they just aren't wired to naturally understand compounding. We're wired to crave those quick, exciting, immediate wins. But patience? Patience is not boring. Patience is quite literally one of the most powerful financial tools at your entire disposal. And what's amazing is that this formula doesn't just apply to money. It applies to everything valuable in life: your professional skills, your deepest relationships, even your health. Yet, so many people completely miss out on compounding because they're fixated on the wrong metrics. We tend to think that earning more automatically makes us wealthy. But let's be real, what usually happens when we get a raise? Our lifestyle gets erased right along with it. We instantly go out and buy a flashier car, the newest smartphone, maybe a bigger house, or, that absolutely essential life-size imported espresso machine. And suddenly, despite earning more money, we're sitting there with zero savings. We essentially trade true wealth for visible luxury. But there's a completely different paradigm we need to look at: hidden wealth. So the crucial point is, we really need to completely redefine what wealth actually means. Real wealth is fundamentally what you do not see. It's the unspent money. It's the new car you decided not to purchase, the expensive jewelry you didn't buy. Now, why is that unspent, invisible money so incredibly valuable? Because it buys you the absolute ultimate luxury. Freedom. The freedom to wake up and say, I can do whatever I want today. The freedom to say no to a nightmare client, or the freedom to just quit a toxic job. Real wealth is having complete, unshakable control over your own life and your own time. All right, moving into section 4, surviving risk and finding enough. We all crave certainty, right? Especially when we're talking about our finances. But the reality is, and this is a tough pill to swallow, financial certainty simply does not exist. Markets are always going to crash eventually, businesses will grow, and businesses will inevitably fail. Risk never actually disappears from the equation, ever. So your goal as an investor isn't to perfectly predict the future or completely avoid risk, because you can't. Your goal is to survive it. And how do you do that? By building a truly robust emergency fund, by maintaining a long-term mindset so you don't just completely panic during an economic dip, and by utilizing broad diversification. You're not out there trying to chase perfect astronomical returns. You are actively trying to build unbreakable resilience. You want to stay in the game long enough for compounding to actually do its heavy lifting. And to stay in that game safely, you really need to master this incredibly rare, almost superhuman trait, knowing what enough is. I mean, countless highly intelligent people have lost absolutely everything because they just wanted a little more, more money, more social status, more power. But endless greed is a totally toxic cycle, and it will absolutely destroy your peace of mind. If you can clearly define what enough actually means for you, you essentially build a fortress around your happiness. You finally realize that true wealth isn't this endless, exhausting accumulation. It's deep, unshakable contentment. And that brings us to our final section, Section 5, the psychology of wealth. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what we are up against on a daily basis. I mean, have you ever panic sold an investment just because the news headlines were absolutely terrifying that day? Or maybe you bought something you couldn't really afford just to impress people you don't even particularly like maybe some random guy from high school on Instagram? That is your emotion actively hijacking your wallet. Fear makes us abandon our perfectly well thought out plans, and greed makes us spend recklessly. Money isn't just numbers on a screen, it is profoundly, deeply emotional. Which really brings us to the core thesis of this entire explainer. Financial success is emotional discipline, period. It is not raw intelligence. The smartest investors in the world aren't necessarily the ones with the highest IQs or the absolute fanciest college degrees. No, they're the ones who can completely and utterly control their emotions. When everyone else around them is panicking, running around, reacting wildly to the market, they don't react. They stay perfectly calm. They stick strictly to their blueprint. So let's lock in these vital insights so you can actually apply them to your own life starting today. Number 1, be incredibly patient. Just let time do the heavy lifting. Save consistently, no matter how tiny the amount might seem right now. Ruthlessly avoid lifestyle inflation when your income starts to grow. Remember, you gotta do the deep, hard work to understand your own emotional money story. Respect the fact that risk is always going to be present in the market. Clearly define what your personal enough looks like. And above all else, always think long-term. Because executing these undeniably simple ideas every single day, that's what yields profound, life-changing results. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a question. Knowing what you know now about your own invisible habits, the quiet, massive power of compounding, and the hidden dangers of fear and greed, what is your biggest money lesson so far in your own life? Take a moment, really think about it, and let that awareness guide your behavior tomorrow. Because true wealth isn't just what's sitting in your bank account. It's the mindset you carry every single day. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Keep growing, and I'll catch you on the next one.